Hey guys, Burning Arrow this league is not only playable, it's fun, it has a decent clear speed and a single target damage that is very respectable. I had fun playing it, not so much fun building it because I had to do a bunch of testing, costing me around an X and a half just to test different options, but I did it for you because I'm so generous and also because I wanted my build to be optimal. I think this is the version we should all do. Other versions like the Chieftain and the Elementalist are not viable for a decent clear speed. I've seen other videos online because I was looking for other ways to build this, and I was checking if I did the optimal thing, and I think I did. If you check for other builds, you can go different routes, but please go for Deadeye. The clear speed for Chieftain and Elementalist is absolute trash. As you can see in this video, the clear speed for Deadeye is very respectable. For the single target damage, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not a one-tap type of build for the bosses, but it felt very comfortable. I'm still at least 3 to 4 exalts away to min-max this thing easy. I don't have a Watcher's Eyes for my Malevolence and everything, so you can add up at least a good 30% more damage on the DPS I have right now, and like I'm very far from the min-max. That being said, I had a lot of fun playing it. There's a couple of drawbacks. I mean, sure, it is powerful, it's going to have a decent clear, but you have to buy Exhaust Nurture, sorry. And this bow, I didn't want to go this bow this league. I tried to do Burning Arrow with something else, but it seems the only route that would on paper be more powerful is the crit route, and investing crits on everything to achieve a similar damage than the Exhaust Nurture, it's just not worth it. I tried it, that's why it costed me so much. I had to do my passives all over again for an early league that was very costly. But I still managed to do something decent because I got lucky with my drops, got a couple exalts, got a couple decent drops, and I managed to get a 6-link. It's doable on a 5-link, it's still quite powerful, you'll be able to do everything in the endgame, but I still recommend to do Guardians and everything comfortably. Wait until you have a 6-link just to make sure. It's an evasion-based character, so of course you're gonna die sometimes. It's not hardcore viable at all. Could we make this character more tanky? Yes, but then again, we need more investments. I have around 5,500 health. It felt relatively okay. Some fights are hard if you get hit by physical or chaos damage, since we don't have Fortify for physical or anything for the chaos. You can get one shot. It happened to me a couple of times on nastier mods, but I've been doing mostly, this character is 91, I've been doing mostly red tier maps, and unless I was fighting a Guardian, I didn't really die. It was pretty rare. I could have made it more tanky by taking another Ascendancy, but trust me guys, you don't want to play this as a Chieftain. It has a shitty clear speed, you need movement speed, and it's basically the only reason I went for Deadeye. It was for Tailwind. This is what's giving us a decent movement speed, and makes the build not being that clunky. We do sacrifice a bunch of damage and a bunch of defenses, but I think it's worth it. I will show you the build, the items and everything. Please don't be scared of the pricing of my items. Don't worry, I'll explain everything. Hang on. Hey guys, I don't know what the fuck's up with my green screen, but I can't fix it, so sorry about that. We'll have to bear with it. We're here to talk about the Burning Arrow build that I did for a league starter. Don't get scared at the items. I know you guys just saw what I have on my character and be like, this fucking guy has exalts and exalts of stuff. I mainly use them for testing, alright? I wanted to know like if certain items were gonna make some different. I'll explain everything, bear with me. I'll try to make this video quick, but it's a complicated mechanic and there's reason for why I did certain things, and I want you guys to understand. So bear with me, I will explain everything. And if you just don't want to hear me talk, you can check the path of building, but you need to have some kind of currency because you won't know what to start with. So try to bear with me. All right, so first off, we have the Xoph's bow, Xoph's nurture. I tried other routes. There's just no bow that is as powerful as this one for what we want to achieve. Simply put, it's a 7 link with a lot of physical damage converted to fire. So there's no reason not to use it. I tried to go the crit route. I thought it would be the only thing that would be stronger than going Xoph's nurture. It was a costly investment and didn't work, right? Forget about crit. It just doesn't work with ignite and bows. Just doesn't. So the first item you'll need is this. You can easily do the entire content on a 5 link. I do recommend, however, to get a 6 link when you're up for the Guardians or Shaper. It's still doable. It's just it lacks a bit of damage, and I prefer 6 link just to be safe, because if you get some nasty mods on your Guardian maps, they can get quite hard. For your gloves, you're going to be using yellow gloves. Try to stack fire damage over time multiplier on everything you have if you can. Ideally physical damage here, but we're going to go for fire damage to attack because it was cheaper for what I could find. Bear in mind that this is the beginning of the league, so I did with what I could get. The IDN Dawn Heavy Belt is a build enabler. You need it. Get one as soon as possible. Aziri Steps is not required if you're lacking on your resistance. Please go ahead and get a yellow. It does the trick. I took it mainly because the chance to dodge spell hit is a nice addition. Rigwald's Quill. This is the main thing with the build that you can skip. Right? I took it because it was, in my opinion, better to farm, because the thing with Burning Arrow is it has nothing else than the proliferation you get from Xoph's nurture. And so Rigwald will make it so that you can one-tap something in a pack like you saw in the video, and it will kill stuff behind you, on the side, everywhere. You don't have to turn around and shoot everything at once. So it speeds up your clear quite a bit, but it still feels super smooth without it. If you don't want to use this Rigwald's Quill, please use a Signal Fire. And we're gonna go for Chaos Heart on our chest. You can get a yellow, it will do the trick. You can still get decent health. It's just that since we have to use our 6 link in the bow, might as well take Chaos Heart. We don't need the spare sockets. A yellow ring, physical damage to attack, increased fire damage, and you're capping your resist with some life. Same thing for the other ring. We're using our rings to cap our resist because weirdly, it's not where we're gonna get the most of our damage. It's really on other stuff. The amulet is going to be where we get a big chunk. Add physical damage, increase fire damage, increase elemental damage with attack skill. Feel free to play with Path of Building. There's also other mods you can get, but these were the ones I went with because probably it was in my price range. And now we get the build enabler. The reason why I did not scrap this build entirely. As an Ascendancy, it got modified this league. I was about to throw this build out because for it to have a decent damage, you need to proc some elemental overload and elemental equilibrium and a bunch of stuff. You need to curse. You need to do a bunch of things. And it was hard for me to apply it on mobs without free casting it, and I hate doing that. People who need, especially in this league, like regular bosses and yellow mobs got a lot stronger. They got, if what the internet is saying is right, they got like 50% more more health and like 30% more resistance to element and some kind of resistance to physical also. So they're like 8 to 10 times tougher than they used to. They're really, really hard to kill. And if you need to stop and like place stuff on the ground every time you need to kill a unique mob or a yellow mob or anything special or a map boss or anything, I think it's just a pain in the dick. I don't like it. I don't like it. Things needs to cast. I will put a totem somewhere to like get more damage, but I don't want to have to rely on that for my damage. So Ascendancy was a build saver. It enabled everything I wanted to do, and because the modification they gave it this league was the it will cast a sucketed spell or any sucketed spell in a certain order while you attack with a bow. Before it was a 25% chance to do that, so it was not that reliable. Now it is. It is pretty much mandatory once you want to start mapping or you really need it. It's a good chunk of damage. We use it to cast Flammability, Combustion Support, Stormbrand, and Wave of Conviction. Now, we're going to get into the complicated mechanics of the build later, but this is what we're going to use to proc a fuck ton of damage, alright? Keep in mind also that Diadem's Dawn is a... you can now upgrade... okay, so the quality things, I don't... What's they're called? What they're called? I don't remember. Okay, Catalyst. Okay, so the Catalysts, you can upgrade uniques with it. And this is going to be game-breaking for a lot of builds when people start realizing it. Diadem's Dawn, as normally, I think it's 35% of a inflict attack faster, okay, for your ignites. And this is a huge damage buff. You can upgrade it up to 42. It's insane. It's crazy. Like, this is freaking crazy. This makes Ignite do a lot more damage a lot faster. Upgrade it as soon as you can. For my Flask, Cinder Swallow is not mandatory, but it's suggested. When you get to endgame, like for mapping, it's not a problem. You don't need the increased critical strike chance. But for endgame, we really want to proc Elemental Overload, and critting with this build with the low attack speed we have for Ignite to work. You kind of need it because it's your source. It was, for me, it was the easiest source of getting a decent critical strike chance and proccing it, okay, on boss fight, because there's only one target. For mapping, you won't feel the difference, so if you're not at like doing Guardians and Shaper and shit, you don't absolutely need the critical strike chance during Flask effect, but I recommend it. Dying Sun is not required either, because we're a Deadeye. Now, people think you need greater multiplier with this thing, greater multiple projectile with this thing, but you absolutely don't. That's why Deadeye is so important, because normally you would get something like 30% less damage because you're using greater multiple projectile. And since map bosses are a lot tougher, like, you would have to swap between gems because you need more damage for the boss because it's harder. Like, yes, on paper you would get more DPS if you were playing a chieftain and you kept swapping, but who wants to swap gems on boss fights? Like, if I have to increase physical damage, conk effect, maybe, but like even just on regular maps it would be hard. Like, just swap always. Nah, I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. So Dying Sun is just a bonus because you get a bit more projectile, but a lot of times it's down and I don't feel the difference. Like 2 projectiles, because we're Deadeye, so we shoot 2 projectiles with our passive that I will explain later. 2 projectiles kill an entire pack. And you're probably like, yeah, okay, maybe you shot 1 arrow and it kills an entire pack. You don't need to have 5 arrows because the proliferation will spread. But like, what I realize is sometimes there's 1 mobs left and it's harder to hit him because he's lone. So you have to shoot at him with 1 arrow. It's hard. That's where Val Burning Arrow comes into play. You use Val Burning Arrow, it does a big explosion. So even if you have a hard time targeting it, it's gonna die. So that's really not build enabling. Stibnite Flask of Stunching for the evasion. The Smoke Cloud gives us blind, and Blood of the Karui for the healing. This is kind of mandatory because we don't have that much leech. I'll explain why later. And so this is what we're gonna use for our setup, and I will explain now the mechanic of the build. So Ignite in itself is going to be a 1-tap, 1-hit damage. Burning Arrow has now a debuff for 5 arrows up on the boss. What that means is that you can stack up to 5 arrows of Ignite on a boss, and this is the maximum damage you will do. Like, you will not be able to proc any more damage even if you keep hitting the boss. The only thing it will do is keep your debuff on him and keep your ignites on him. It will not actually add any damage. So that means that investing into attack speed is useless. Like, you need a decent amount because you want to throw those 5 arrows on big ass boss like Guardians fast, but once you've achieved that, like, your attack speed is absolutely useless. So we don't want to invest in it. So the fact that we don't have any attack speed needs to be covered by the fact we do a lot of damage in our elemental prolif from Zoph's Nurture that is going to spread our ignites everywhere and kill every enemies. You saw how fast it farms. That was a tier 12, by the way. I wanted to show you, and this is one of the downside of the build, I wanted to show you like other maps. I've never lagged in the build until I start trying to record. When I start trying to record, I'm guessing the ignite were too hard for my computer to make the make the maths, and it was lagging everywhere. I had to choose specific maps with no ground effect, anything, because otherwise it was laggy as balls. So unfortunately, I could only show you that tier, but trust me, on tier 16, they drop as fast. Like, you one-shot mobs. This is why I took Deadeye. Okay? Don't do a chieftain. Maybe like a trickster would be doable. Like, I would maybe say it's doable because you'd still be able to achieve a certain amount of speed, but a chieftain would be so slow. I don't recommend it. You go for a Deadeye and you take, okay, if you're starting, I really recommend you to take Powerful Precision. It pierces 3 additional target. You don't, and like, this basically helps you clear until you get a decent damage, and your other things like Endless Munition and Ricochet. Once you like do your Merciless Lab, or rather your Uber Lab, and you can get everything, spec out of Powerful Precision, get Ricochet, and get Endless Munition, and get Tailwind ASAP. Like, that should be your second lab, because you take this for the clear, and then you go for this for the clear speed, and the damage by itself will come as soon as you have Ascendance chance. Okay, so what we're relying on here is pretty basic stuff. We need, and this is not min-maxed at all, by the way. Nothing here is min-maxed. There's a lot more damage where that came from. I just don't want to spend that much currency on it because I want to start trying other builds, other stuff. This is just to give you an idea of what Burning Arrow can do. We're basically trying to stack the damage over time everywhere on the tree. On our jewels, we're going to stack damage over time, life, some resist if you need to. And we're picking that up everywhere. We absolutely need the mana reserve. I will explain you why when I show you gems. You need just a little bit of mana, enough to be able to cast your stuff. Elemental Overload and Elemental Equilibrium are mandatory, and this is one of the reason because it's a 50% less resistance from the enemy, and this is one of the reason why we have to play Ascendance chat. Now, because we use the Stormbrand is going to proc by itself instead of us always trying to cast Stormbrand and shoot our arrows. We're super slow, so it would be really clunky to play like this, and Ascendance chat makes everything smoother. This has been a lifesaver for me, and I highly believe that most bow build that we're going to see this thing are going to have an Ascendance chant in them, because it's build changing. It can make clunky mechanics a lot more smoother. For the gems, Unbound Ailment, Burning Damage, Swift Affliction, Burning Arrow, of course, Val Burning Arrow. And by the way, I have absolutely no quality on my gems, so everything you saw was suboptimal. Like I said, I didn't even bother to upgrading my gems. I do have, I believe, a Burning Arrow somewhere with good quality, but I didn't bother leveling it. Deadly Element, Elemental Damage with Attack. There's also no Awakening gem, and it would be a huge difference for us to have Awakened gem on our setup. So like I said, nothing's min-max. I don't even have, like, basically, because you're gonna ask me, oh Gorst, what do I use for anointment on my amulet? It's really easy. This is the one we can't reach because it's too far away. That would give us the best damage. Get Growth and Decay, but it's expensive, so it's like 2x or 1x to put it on your amulet. I just didn't feel comfortable putting it in there, but it will be a huge chunk of damage also on your amulet. So we're gonna use Malevolence Herald of Ash, summon Skitterbots, and Enlighten. Yes, it is mandatory to have Enlighten, and I didn't want to use it, but unfortunately, it's such a huge chunk of damage to have Skitterbots, Malevolence, and Herald of Ash. We kind of need it, so try to get it as soon as possible. I used the Herald of Ash to level, but I noticed further down the road that having the Skitterbots shocking enemies for 18% and more is a lot stronger than having Herald of Ash by itself. So if you don't have a Lighten, just run those two until you can run Herald of Ash with them. Cast when damage taken, Steel Skin, pretty standard. Flame Dash and Withering Step. Withering Step is good. It gives us more dodge chance and everything. I liked it. You can go phase run. It would be a lot faster for clearing. I just didn't feel it was necessary. So that's pretty much it for the entire build guide. Now, all you need to make sure, there's gonna be a learning curve, guys. I won't, because you're gonna play it, you're gonna feel it's clunky, you know. There's a learning curve, and if Tornado Shot has been nerfed as I think it did, this is the next best thing after maybe Scourge Arrow. Scourge Arrow is very powerful, but staying put, charging your arrow, shooting, I don't like that playstyle. This felt more free, more it felt clearer to play. I loved it. Just try it. Like, basically what you do is see my, every time I shoot, it's cursing, putting some Stormbrand, and also sending Wave of Conviction. There's so much it does as a debuff that, anyway, it's just really powerful. Nothing here is min-max, so like I said, don't be scared of the price of my items. Everything's expensive at the early league, but this is going to be super cheap in a couple weeks. And like I said, nothing is mandatory other than the Exhaust Nurture. The rest will come, and the Ascendancy. The rest will come. So great clear speed, great bossing. It's evasion based, so you can't play it hardcore, but it was really fun to play. I loved it. I managed to unlock all my Atlas with it almost, and it's really powerful. It's good. It's a great build to enjoy for the new Burning Arrow. I do recommend that with some investment, it would probably I could kill Shaper. With some investment, it would probably almost one-tap the Guardians if I could get like 10 more Exalts into this thing. But if I wait a couple weeks, it's gonna cost peanuts. So I mean, so yeah, thank you guys for watching. If I forgot something, it's been a while since I did a build, so if I forgot anything, just leave it in the comment. You can ask me a question. I'm gonna link the POB down there. There's no Shaper kills because it's 50 chaos for a Guardian map right now. It's too expensive. I can't run it. But you saw me melt well, kill Hydra and Minotaur. I did other runs. It was just laggy, so I couldn't really record well. It would be easy to kill Shaper. I will not recommend this build for you, Builder, though. I won't recommend any evasion build for you, Builder, really. Stay tuned for my next build. I have something in mind that should be really fun.